I want to introduce Randy Neal, Bonneville County prosecuting attorney right here with us, and Curtis, longtime defense attorney, Curtis Smith. Glad to have you both with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yes, and we kind of want to get right into it. First question is the death penalty. How does that complicate a case when you're trying to either prosecute or defend someone whose life might be at stake?
And we'll just speak in generalities. We aren't talking specifically about this particular case. The death penalty makes it complicated because there's actually 3 different sets of criteria that the state has to prove. You first have to show that there was a murder. You then have to distinguish second and first degree murder, and only then, if it's a conviction for a first degree murder, you go on to the sentencing phase and you have to find that one of those aggravating factors justify the death penalty.
And I think from the defense perspective, you just have someone's life in your hands, and I think that you take that very seriously, and you're attempting to tell their side of the story and do your best to defend the case. And I think that you feel the pressure definitely when not only someone's freedom might be at stake, but their actual life. So
next, we'll stay with you, Curtis, and we'll bounce back to Neal. They've called thousands of potential prospective jurors. How hard is it to seat a jury in a situation like this, to find an unbiased jury?
Yeah, you know, I think especially in a case like this where we've seen so much news coverage, even nationally, you're trying to get a fair and impartial jury, and that can be hard because people are watching the news, and as the news stories are told, it may be hard to go ahead and find a jury pool of people that can be fair and impartial and that haven't heard a lot about the case. In this case particularly, I would imagine would be a little difficult to do that.
On the prosecution side?
Well, and we've really encouraged everybody through several cases that we're seeing locally here to try to resist that urge to state an opinion. All of that pretrial publicity not only makes it hard for us to find an unbiased jury, but it can create a lot of complications where we have to change venue, and that really deprives the local community of being the peer judges of what happened.
How, as you're preparing for something like this, and you've got a trial that could last as long as 2 months, what does that do to the way that you present it, the way that you deal with it, and the way that the community and the clients deal with it as well?
Right. I think it's challenging because especially when you're talking about jurors, they're giving 2 months of their life to a case, and they've got lives to live. And so I think part of that jury selection has to be who can do it, what kind of things do they have to do to be prepared to last that long. For lawyers and judges, I guess many cases don't last that long, but when they do, you have to kind of find a rhythm and stay with it. Many times you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, you're just finding a way to get the case done and move ahead. So.
Well, our prosecutors' offices are seeing shortages all up and down the valley, and yet they can't just stop doing prosecution in their local communities. That is a constant flow, and they still have to keep these cases going. When you take folks out of those offices for an extended amount of time, it puts a real strain on getting things accomplished.
Thank you guys so much for being here.